There are two things you should never do when making music, and I'm pretty sure that almost everyone has done it. In this video, I'm going to show you two of the biggest mistakes producers make. As a music producer, there are many pitfalls to avoid. However, there are two really big ones that I constantly see people fall into, even professionals. A music producer is in a constant battle against time itself. What I mean about that is that the more time you spend on a project, the less chance you'll ever finish it. It's therefore imperative that you work quickly, or your hard drive will just get filled up with unfinished projects. Here's a typical scenario. You have a great idea for a melody, and you're sure that this will become your best one yet. So you start working on it, spending a lot of time trying to get it sounding perfect. It's so good that you just can't stop listening to it. So you end up listening to that 8-bar loop over and over and over again. Well, and after a while, you feel stuck. And you can't figure out what to do next. Even worse, it doesn't really sound all that great anymore. So eventually you start changing the melody, trying to get it to sound good again. But whatever you do, it just gets worse. Eventually you end up scrapping the whole project and start working on something new. Sound familiar? This is mistake number 1. Listening to the track too much. The original idea you had was most likely great, but as you keep listening to it, a kind of ear fatigue sets in, and you simply just get tired of it. It's basically the same thing that happens when you listen to a great track on the radio, for example. You get hooked on the melody and you just want to listen to it over and over again. Well, after some time, you really don't feel it anymore, you know? Sure, the song is still good, but you just don't feel that urge to listen to it over and over anymore, and eventually you can't see what was so compelling with it in the first place. This phenomenon is a huge problem for producers, because you will get tired of whatever you're listening to. That's why it's so important to finish a track quickly. So pause the track whenever you can and try to listen to it as little as possible. Lay down the basic arrangement right away and figure out where your breakdown is going to be, how long the drop is going to be, and so on. Then, start filling in the elements. You can go back and do the fine tweaking at the end when everything is in place. This is the difference between professionals and beginners. Beginners will often get stuck tweaking a melody, for example, and spend countless hours on that, while professionals recognize that they need to work quickly in order to have any chance of actually finishing the track. This brings me to mistake number 2, tweaking the finished track to death. This is something that many professionals also do. You have a track that's basically finished, but you can't get yourself to release it because you always feel that you can improve it just a little bit more. Well, this is natural. I've seen professionals tweak great tracks to death. The track sounded finished, but then they started changing small things here and there, tweaking this and tweaking that. They keep doing this until they have changed the end result so much that the track ends up sounding worse and worse each time. This is what I personally call tweakomania. I've been there myself. It's a side effect of the first mistake I talked about. You're fatigued by listening to the track over and over again, and by the time it's finally finished, you subconsciously start trying to make it better by making small changes here and there. This is the second big mistake of not knowing when to stop. Don't make the mistake of tweaking the track to death. When the track is finished and before you start tweaking, send it to someone who can give you unbiased feedback on how it sounds. Then wait at least a week or more before you go back and listen to it again to do the final tweaks. If you can avoid these mistakes, chances are you'll be able to finish far more tracks. I'd like to thank our Patreons for their ongoing support, and as always, if there's any specific tutorial you'd like us to make, or if you have a question, just let us know in the comments below. Also, make sure to check out the links below if you need feedback on your music, mastering, and so on. Thanks for watching.